The galaxy had a name it spoke with fear. Karzun. Every world knew the legend. Every species taught their young to remember it. Karzun was not just a warrior. He was a symbol of final defeat. When he arrived, wars ended. When he stepped onto a battlefield, hope disappeared. No one had ever hit him. Not once. Records showed hundreds of battles across dozens of star systems. Bladed creatures, energy beasts, armored champions, and trained armies had all tried. Some lasted minutes, some seconds. Most never landed a single strike. Sensors, cameras, and witnesses all confirmed the same truth. Karzun was untouchable. That was why the Grand Arena was full. Floating above a dead moon, the arena was a place of humiliation. Fights here were not meant to be fair. They were meant to send messages. Today's message was clear. Humanity had overstepped its place. The galaxy had grown tired of humans. They spread fast. They asked questions. They refused to bow. And now, they had challenged a border decision made by the Council. So the Council chose a response everyone understood. They chose Karzun. Thousands of alien spectators filled the stands. Some watched from ships, others through live broadcasts. Commentators spoke confidently, already bored. "This will be quick," one said. "Humans are soft," another added. "Low-gravity species. Weak bones. Slow reactions." Laughter echoed across the arena. At the center stood Karzun himself. Tall, wide, his dark armor seemed grown, not built. Old battle marks covered it, but none were fresh. His 4 eyes scanned the crowd, calm and proud. He did not stretch. He did not prepare. He had never needed to. To him, this was not a fight. It was a reminder. On the opposite side, a single human door opened. No music played. No announcement followed. A human walked out. He was smaller than expected. No heavy armor. No glowing weapon. Just a fitted combat suit and bare hands. His face was calm. His steps were steady. He did not look at the crowd. He did not look at Karzun. The laughter grew louder. "That's it?" someone mocked. "He didn't even bring a weapon." Karzun finally looked at the human. His lips curled slightly, not in anger, but disappointment. This was the species causing trouble? This quiet figure? The human stopped at his mark. He stood straight, hands relaxed, breathing slow. The arena systems activated. Energy shields locked in place. Medical drones hovered, already expecting the worst. The referee drone floated between them. Combat would begin at the signal. It announced. Karzun did not raise his guard. Why would he? The human lifted his eyes for the first time and looked directly at the legend, not with fear, not with anger, with focus. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3. The crowd leaned forward, some already looking away. 2. The signal tone had not finished. It was not loud. It was not flashy. Just movement. The human stepped forward. Not rushed. Not wild. Precise. Before the referee drone could react, the human closed the distance. Karzun's eyes widened, not in pain but confusion. A strike landed. Then another. Then another. 5 movements. 5 impacts. So fast the arena sensors lagged behind. The sound came late. Sharp cracks echoing through the silence. Karzun stumbled back. The crowd froze. The human was already stepping away, returning to his original position, as if nothing had happened. The signal tone finished. Silence swallowed the arena. Karzun stood frozen. His armor showed small fractures. One of his eyes blinked rapidly. A dark liquid rolled slowly down the side of his face. Blood. The commentators did not speak. The medical drones hesitated, unsure if they were allowed to move. Karzun lifted a hand to his face and stared at the blood on his fingers. He had been hit, not once, 5 times, before he even realized a fight had started. The human stood still, breathing calm, eyes forward. The galaxy watched in shock as a legend cracked, not from force, but from speed. Fear began to replace laughter, and deep in the silence, one terrifying thought spread across every world watching. If humans strike first, how many legends were built on waiting? The silence did not break quickly. In the grand arena, silence was rare. Crowds screamed. Commentators talked. Machines hummed. But now nothing moved. Nothing spoke. Curzon stood in the center of the arena, tall and unmoving. His hand was still raised. Dark blood slowly dripping from his fingers onto the polished floor. Each drop made a soft sound that echoed too loudly. He stared at it. Blood. His blood. For the first time in his long life. His mind struggled to understand what his eyes were showing him. This was not pain. Pain was familiar. Pain came after battles. Pain came after victory. This was something else. This was doubt. Across from him, the human stood quietly. He had already returned to his starting position. His hands were relaxed again, his body loose, as if the last few seconds had meant nothing. He did not smile. He did not speak. He did not move. The crowd finally began to breathe again. What just happened? A commentator whispered. That was before the signal. Another said, voice shaking. Is that allowed? The referee drone hovered uncertainly. Its systems replayed the footage again and again. The human had moved before the tone finished. But the rules were clear. Combat began at intent, not sound. And the intent was clear. Curzon slowly lowered his hand. His four eyes focused on the human now. Not with pride, not with boredom, with caution. That feeling was new, unwanted, dangerous. For generations, Curzon had ruled battlefields through certainty. Enemies feared him before the first strike. Their hesitation fed his dominance. Their fear slowed them. But this human had not waited. The human had not asked permission to fight. Curzon shifted his stance for the first time. His muscles tightened. His weight lowered. The arena sensors picked it up instantly. He's guarding, someone in the crowd said softly. A murmur spread through the stands. Many had never seen this. Curzon always advanced. He always attacked first. Slow, crushing, unstoppable. But now he was reacting. The human noticed. His eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but calculation. He had seen this before, though never on this scale. In training rooms, in old wars, in moments when confidence cracked. Hesitation was louder than fear. The referee drone finally spoke. Combat has officially begun. Curzon roared. The sound shook the arena walls. It was meant to crush courage, to freeze prey in place. Many species would have collapsed just hearing it. The human did not flinch. Curzon charged. Each step cracked the floor beneath him. His massive frame moved with terrifying power. This was the force that had ended worlds. This was the strength the galaxy worshipped. The crowd felt relief. There it is, they thought. Now it ends. Curzon swung. It was a wide, killing strike, aimed to shatter the human's body in one blow. But the human was already moving. He did not run away. He stepped inside the strike. Closer. Too close. Curzon's eyes widened again. The human twisted, letting the massive arm pass just behind his head. In the same motion, he struck, short, sharp, precise. A hit to a joint, another to exposed armor, a third to a nerve cluster the human had memorized from stolen medical data. Curzon staggered. Pain exploded through his body, sudden and confusing. His strength was still there, but it felt delayed. Commands from his brain reached his muscles a moment too late. A moment was enough. The human retreated again, light on his feet, breathing steady. The crowd was no longer laughing. They were shouting. How is he doing that? He's not stronger. He's not faster, he's earlier. That word spread quickly. Earlier. Curzon growled, shaking his head. He tried to reset, to return to instinct. He attacked again, faster this time, abandoning form for raw power. It failed. Each strike met empty air. Each mistake earned punishment. Not heavy blows. Not dramatic hits. Small ones. Smart ones. Cuts. Jabs. Pressure. The kind of attacks meant to weaken, not impress. Curzon began to breathe harder. His movements lost rhythm. His confidence drained with every missed strike. This had never happened. Not because his enemy was stronger, but because his enemy refused to play the role he expected. The human was not fighting to win glory. He was fighting to end the threat, and that terrified the legend. For the first time, Karzun understood something the galaxy had ignored for too long. Humans did not evolve to be kings. They evolved to survive, and survival did not wait for signals. As Karzun stumbled back once more, the arena understood the truth. The legend was not being overpowered. He was being dismantled, piece by piece. The grand arena no longer felt like a place of celebration. It felt like a lesson. Karzun stood breathing heavily, his massive chest rising and falling in uneven rhythm. His muscles were still powerful. His armor was still strong. But something invisible had shifted, and everyone could see it. Control was slipping. Across from him, the human moved slowly from side to side, not pacing, measuring, watching every twitch, every breath, every delay. His eyes stayed locked on Karzun's shoulders and hips, not his face. He was reading him. The commentators struggled to explain what they were seeing. "This doesn't match our models," one said. "The human should be overwhelmed by now," another replied. "But he's calm." That calm was not confidence. It was habit. Long before humanity reached the stars, they had learned how to fight while afraid. On their own world, danger did not announce itself. Predators struck from shadows. Storms arrived without warning. Enemies attacked at night. Humans learned to live ready. Karzun attacked again, this time changing tactics. He lowered his center of gravity and rushed forward, arms tight, strikes short and fast. The arena floor cracked under his weight. This time, the human did not retreat. He stepped forward. The crowd gasped. At the last possible moment, the human dropped low, sliding across the floor beneath Karzun's strike. As he passed, he reached out and struck behind the knee, exactly where armor plates separated. Karzun stumbled. Not fell. Not yet. But the stumble was enough. The human rolled, sprang to his feet, and moved away again. Always away. Always just out of reach. "Why doesn't he finish it?" someone shouted. The answer was simple. Because humans did not rush endings. They removed options. Karzun turned slowly, rage burning behind his eyes. He roared again, louder than before. It was no longer a challenge. It was frustration. He charged once more, swinging wildly now, abandoning form entirely. Power filled the arena, raw and dangerous. The human waited. One strike passed too wide. The human stepped in. A sharp blow to the side of the neck. Another to the ribs. A third to a sensor cluster embedded in the armor. Karzun howled in pain and spun, finally landing a glancing hit. The human was thrown backward, sliding across the floor. The crowd erupted. "There!" someone yelled. "He's done!" But the human rolled to a stop and stood up again. Slowly, calmly, blood ran from a cut above his eye. He wiped it away without looking. His breathing was still controlled. His stance unchanged. Karzun froze. That hit would have ended any other species. But the human did not panic. He adjusted. That was when understanding began to spread through the arena. Humans did not rely on perfect plans. They adapted. Karzun attacked again, but now his movements were slower. His leg dragged slightly. His reactions were delayed by pain and confusion. The human noticed everything. He began circling tighter now, shrinking the space. Each step forced Karzun to turn, to follow, to react. Reaction was a problem. The human struck again, short, brutal hits aimed at balance, breath, and joints. Not killing blows, teaching blows. The commentators fell silent as a new truth became impossible to ignore. Karzun had always fought enemies who feared him. The human was fighting the threat, not the legend. Humans study war. One analyst finally said quietly, "Not to dominate." Another replied, "But to survive." Karzun backed away, something he had never done before. His mind raced, searching for answers that did not exist. Strength had always been enough. Fear had always been enough. But this enemy did not care who he was. The human stepped forward again. "You're slowing," the human said calmly. The words were simple. Not loud, not mocking. They hit harder than any strike. Karzun roared and lunged in rage. That was a mistake. The human moved first. A step inside. A sharp twist. A final strike to the same weakened joint. Curzon collapsed to one knee. The impact shaking the arena. The crowd rose to its feet in stunned silence. The untouchable legend was kneeling. The human stood a few steps away, ready but patient, watching carefully. He did not celebrate. He did not assume victory. Because humans knew better. Danger was never over until it was over. And across the galaxy, military leaders, scientists, and rulers reached the same terrifying conclusion at the same time. If this was how humans fought one legend, what would happen when they fought a war? The arena trembled as Curzon knelt on one knee. For a moment, no one believed what they were seeing. The cameras zoomed in. The sensors confirmed it. The great champion's massive frame leaned forward. One hand pressed against the cracked floor for balance. He was not posing. He was struggling. Across from him, the human stood still. His shoulders were relaxed, but his eyes never left Curzon. He watched the legend the way a hunter watched a wounded predator. Not with joy, but with caution. The crowd had gone silent again. Not the excited silence from before. This was different. This silence carried fear. Curzon's breathing was loud now, uneven. Each breath burned. His leg refused to respond the way it should. Signals from his mind arrived late. Broken by pain he had never trained to manage. Pain had never mattered before. He lifted his head slowly and looked at the human. His four eyes showed confusion first, then anger, and finally something far worse. Uncertainty. You should be broken, Curzon growled. His voice shook the air, but it lacked confidence. Your kind always breaks. The human did not answer right away. He adjusted his stance slightly, keeping his weight forward, ready. Your kind waits, the human replied calmly. Mine doesn't. The word spread through the arena faster than any broadcast. Curzon roared and forced himself to stand. His muscles screamed in protest, but pride pushed him forward. He could not fall here, not in front of the galaxy, not to a human. He charged again. This time, his movements were desperate. Power replaced control. Strength replaced thought. The human saw it immediately. Curzon swung with everything he had left. The blow was wild, wide, and predictable. The human stepped aside. Not far, just enough. As Curzon passed, the human struck harder than before. A clean hit to the side of the head, then another to the damaged joint, then a final blow to the chest, right where old armor met new scars. The sound echoed like thunder. Curzon crashed onto his back. The impact shook the arena floor and sent shockwaves through the stands. Dust and debris rose into the air. For several seconds, nothing moved. Then Curzon tried to rise. His arm trembled. His fingers dug into the floor. His body lifted slightly and fell back down. The legend struggled again and failed again. A low murmur spread across the crowd. Not cheers, not insults. Shock. The referee drone hovered closer now, scanning vital signs. Curzon was alive, still conscious, but badly hurt. The human did not rush forward. He waited. That was the most frightening part. He wasn't hungry for victory. He was patient. Curzon turned his head and looked at the human lying above him. From this angle, the human did not look small anymore. He looked inevitable. How? Curzon asked quietly. His voice barely carried. I am stronger, faster, built for war. The human tilted his head slightly. You're built for winning, he said. We're built for surviving. Curzon closed his eyes for a moment. Memories flooded his mind. Hundreds of battles. Hundreds of enemies who hesitated, who waited for him to move, who feared his name more than his strikes. He had never learned how to fight someone who did not care about his legend. Slowly, painfully, Curzon pushed himself into a seated position. His movements were heavy now, broken. The arena watched as the untouchable legend sat, defeated not by death, but by understanding. The referee drone spoke again, its voice cold and official. Combatant Curzon is unable to continue at peak capacity. Outcome pending. The human stepped back and lowered his hands slightly. He was not threatening. He was not celebrating. He was finished. Curzon looked around the arena one last time. Thousands of eyes watched him, not with fear, with realization. The myth had ended. He lowered his head. "I yield," he said. The words echoed louder than any roar. For a heartbeat, the galaxy froze. Then chaos erupted. Some shouted, some screamed, some simply stared in disbelief. Messages flooded across star systems. Emergency meetings were called. Military councils panicked. The human had not just won a fight. He had shattered an idea. Medical drones rushed forward to lift Curzon gently. As they carried him away, his eyes followed the human. "Your kind will change everything," Curzon said softly. The human met his gaze. "We already did," he replied. As Curzon disappeared beyond the arena gates, the human turned and walked toward his own exit. No victory pose. No salute. Just quiet steps. Behind him, the galaxy struggled to accept a new truth. Legends were only powerful when others believed in them. And humans? Humans believed in action. The fight ended, but the shock did not. Across the galaxy, screens replayed the same moment again and again. Curzon kneeling. Curzon falling. Curzon yielding. Every replay slowed the strikes, traced the human steps, highlighted the timing. And still, many cannot believe it. In council chambers and command bridges, leaders watched in silence. Some stood frozen. Others argued loudly. A few simply turned off the screens, as if denial could undo what had happened. "The data must be wrong," one counselor said. "No," another replied quietly. "We saw it live." Military analysts worked without rest. They compared human movement to thousands of alien combat models. Strength values did not match. Armor ratings did not explain it. Reaction times came close, but not close enough. Something else was there. Something they had ignored. On the grand arena's upper levels, observers whispered to each other. The human had not shown superior power. He had not used secret weapons. He had not broken the rules. He had broken expectations. Human embassies across known space began receiving messages. Some were polite. Some were fearful. Some were desperate. Trade guilds requested new terms. Border commanders quietly withdrew patrols from human-controlled systems. Pirate fleets changed routes overnight. No one announced these changes. They simply happened. On a distant research station, a group of xenobiologists gathered around a display. One of them, older and tired-eyed, spoke slowly. "We measured muscle density," she said. "Bone strength, neural speed." She paused. "We never measured will." Others nodded in uneasy agreement. Human history record began to circulate. Real ones this time. Not summaries. Not jokes. Full archives. Wars fought with fewer resources. Battles won against impossible odds. Survivals that made no sense on paper. Patterns emerged. Humans did not wait for perfect conditions. They moved early. They adapted fast. They refused to accept the role given to them. Back at the arena, cleanup crews worked in silence. Cracked floors were repaired. Blood was erased. But the feeling remained heavy and uncomfortable. The human was already gone. No interviews. No speeches. He boarded a small transport and left the system within hours. To him, the fight was finished. The threat removed. But for the galaxy, it was just beginning. Curzon lay in a medical chamber, surrounded by soft light and humming machines. His wounds would heal. His body was strong enough for that. His pride was another matter. Doctor spoke quietly, careful not to meet his eyes. He stared at the ceiling, replaying the fight in his mind. Not the pain, not the fall. The first strike, the moment before the signal ended. That was where the legend died. "They didn't cheat," Curzon said suddenly. The room froze. "They didn't need to," he continued. "They saw the opening before it existed." No one argued. Days passed, then weeks, and the galaxy began to change. Training doctrines were rewritten. Combat simulations added new variables. Early engagement, aggressive timing, unpredictable movement. Some species tried to copy human tactics. Most failed. They lacked a mindset. Humans did not practice aggression. They practiced readiness. A readiness shaped by centuries of danger, competition, and survival. At the Galactic Council, an emergency session was called. The hall filled with tension. Old alliances felt weak. Old assumptions felt dangerous. A representative spoke what many were thinking. We built our security on legends, she said, and legend can fall. Eyes turned to the empty seat where Karzun's supporters once sat. What do we do about humanity? Someone asked. No one answered quickly, because the truth was uncomfortable. Humanity had not threatened the galaxy. They had only defended themselves, and that made them far more dangerous. In quiet corners of space, some species began studying humans with respect instead of fear. Others prepared for conflict they now realized would be costly, and some prayed they would never face humans at all. On Earth, the fight barely made the news. A short clip, a brief report, then attention moved on. Humans returned to their lives, unaware how deeply they had shaken the stars. That was a final misunderstanding. Humans did not need the galaxy's attention. They only needed to be left alone. And now, finally, the galaxy was learning to do exactly that. Because once you saw how humans fought, you never forgot. The galaxy did not return to normal. It tried. Trade routes reopened. Councils met again. Wars continued in distant systems. On the surface, life moved forward. But underneath it all, something had changed. The legend of Karzun was no longer told the same way. Children still learned his name, but now it came with a warning. Not about his strength, not about his victories, about his mistake. He had waited in a quiet medical station far from the grand arena. Karzun stood alone for the first time since his defeat. His body had healed well. The machines confirmed it. His muscles were strong again. His armor fit once more. Yet something inside him remained broken. Confidence did not return when expected. When he closed his eyes, he did not see enemies charging at him in fear. He saw a calm human stepping forward before the fight was supposed to begin. That image stayed. Visitors came. Admirers. Officials. Even enemies seeking reassurance. They all asked the same question in different ways. Could it happen again? Karzun never answered directly. Instead, he said one thing every time. Do not let humans choose the moment. Across the galaxy, that sentence spread faster than any broadcast. Military academies carved it into training halls. Commanders whispered it before battles. Politicians repeated it during tense negotiations. Do not let humans choose the moment, because that was a lesson humanity had left behind. Not power, not fear, timing. Human fleets did not grow overnight. Their weapons were not the largest. Their ships were not the strongest. But their doctrines changed everything. Human commanders preferred early action, quick response, limited warnings. They did not escalate slowly. They ended threats before they became wars. Other species struggled to understand this mindset. Many were built around ceremony, protocol, and honor. Humans respected those things until survival was at risk. Then respect ended. On one distant border world, a minor conflict nearly turned violent. An alien patrol attempted to test a human outpost, expecting negotiations. Instead, the patrol found empty skies. The human fleet had already moved. The message was short and clear. This was your warning. No shots were fired. None were needed. At the Galactic Council, debates grew quieter. Voices softened. Humans were no longer dismissed. They were listened to carefully, not because they demanded it, but because everyone remembered the arena. The human who fought Karzun was never celebrated as a hero. His name remained classified. He returned to service quietly, training others, sharing lessons. Speed is nothing without decision, he told them. And decision means acting before doubt grows. That idea spread through humanity like fire. Humans had always been dangerous when cornered. Now, the galaxy understood they were just as dangerous when calm. Years later, a new generation of warriors trained under revised doctrines. Some tried to imitate human behavior, Few succeeded, because the truth was simple. Humans did not fight to prove they were strong. They fought to make sure there was no second fight. Curzon eventually returned to public life. He no longer stood at the front of armies. Instead, he advised, when asked about the greatest warrior he had ever faced. He did not hesitate. The human, he said, when asked why, he answered quietly, "He ended the fight before I understood it had begun." On the anniversary of the duel, a recording played across many systems, not as entertainment, as education. It showed the first 5 strikes. Slow, clear, undeniable, and every species watching felt the same chill. The universe had always believed in strength. Humanity believed in action. That belief reshaped everything. Because legends depend on fear, but survival depends on movement. And humans? Humans move first. As the stars continued to burn and civilizations rose and fell, one rule remained unspoken, yet universally accepted. If a human is calm, it is already too late.